In a compelling journey from tension to understanding, Sergeant Leah Matthews, returning home from a demanding deployment, finds herself facing unexpected prejudice. As she settles into her upgraded first-class seat, a well-dressed man challenges her presence there, expressing his belief that a soldier like her doesn't belong in first class. The situation escalates with the man's insistence and disdain, but Leah's composed response and heartfelt note change the course of the interaction. The note, a poignant reminder of shared humanity and the cost of freedom, prompts a heartfelt apology from the man, who reveals his grief and newfound respect. By the end of the flight, Leah and her unexpected adversary part ways with a newfound understanding and connection, reminding us all of the power of empathy and kindness. If you are not subscribed, I recommend you subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any videos. Sergeant Leah Matthews had just completed a grueling deployment overseas, and her journey home was long overdue. The physical and emotional toll of military life had left her exhausted, and as she navigated the bustling airport with her heavy duffel bag slung over her shoulder, her sole focus was on the prospect of finally getting some much-needed rest. The weight of the bag seemed to reflect the weight of her experiences, months of intense training, long nights, and the heartache of losing friends along the way. Leah was clad in her military uniform, the olive green fabric bearing the marks of her hard-fought service. The uniform, worn and faded from the harsh conditions she had endured, told a silent story of sacrifice and endurance. Yet despite the fatigue that clung to her like a second skin, Leah carried herself with the quiet dignity and resilience that had become her hallmark. As she approached the gate for her flight home, Leah was pleasantly surprised to find that her seat had been upgraded to first class. The airline's gesture seemed like a small token of recognition for her service, and although she felt a bit out of place among the sharply dressed passengers in business suits and designer attire, she was grateful for the comfort. She took her seat in 3A, trying to relax in the plush surroundings after so many months of rugged conditions. However, just as Leah was beginning to settle in and enjoy the rare luxury, a man approached her with a look of irritation and disbelief. His well-tailored suit and air of entitlement made it clear that he was accustomed to getting his way. "Excuse me," he said, his tone dripping with annoyance. "I believe you're in my seat." Leah looked up, her expression one of confusion. "I don't think so," she responded, showing him her boarding pass. "This is my seat, 3A." The man took a glance at her ticket and then fixed her with a contemptuous sneer. "This must be some kind of mistake. You're a soldier. You should be in coach, not first class." His words were sharp and dismissive, carrying an undertone of prejudice that Leah had encountered too often during her service. She remained calm, her posture unwavering as she tried to resolve the situation. Leah felt a surge of embarrassment and frustration coursing through her. She had encountered prejudice before, but each experience felt just as painful and humiliating as the last. Her heart pounded in her chest as she tried to remain composed, reminding herself to breathe deeply. "I'm sorry, sir, but this is the seat that was assigned to me," she said, her voice trembling slightly but resolute. The man's reaction was swift and disdainful. He scoffed loudly, his face a mask of disbelief and irritation. "Unbelievable," he muttered under his breath, his eyes darting around as if he expected someone to come to his aid or support his stance. "You don't belong here." Leah was momentarily at a loss for words, her mind racing as she absorbed the hostility directed at her. She could feel the weight of the other passengers' gazes, a mix of curiosity and judgment. Their stares seemed to pierce through her, amplifying her discomfort. She was on the verge of offering to switch seats, hoping to diffuse the situation and avoid further conflict when the flight attendant approached. With an air of professionalism, the flight attendant inquired, "Is there a problem here?" Her tone was courteous but carried an undercurrent of authority. The man quickly began to outline his version of the situation, his voice laden with indignation. But the flight attendant's attention shifted to Leah, her expression softening with understanding. "Sergeant Matthews, your seat is indeed in first class." "Thank you for your service," she said warmly, acknowledging Leah's presence and status. Turning towards the man with a mix of professionalism and firmness, the flight attendant continued, her voice steady and polite. "Sir, your assigned seat is 5A, which is located just a few rows behind. Kindly make your way there." Her intervention not only resolved the immediate seating issue but also reinstated a measure of dignity for Leah, who felt a brief but palpable wave of relief as the confrontation was diffused. The man's reaction was swift and unmistakable. His face flushed a deep, angry red, betraying his embarrassment. Instead of offering an apology or any semblance of contrition, he responded with a dismissive huff and a curt nod. Without a word, he turned sharply on his heel and marched back to his seat, his posture radiating clear irritation and annoyance. Leah watched this unfolding drama with a complex swirl of emotions while she felt a significant sense of relief at the resolution of the immediate conflict. She also experienced a rising tide of frustration. As she sank back into her seat, the confrontation continued to linger heavily in her thoughts, refusing to dissipate. The more she tried to push the incident from her mind, the more it seemed to gnaw at her, especially as the plane began its ascent into the sky. As the aircraft climbed higher and the landscape below receded, Leah's mind wandered to her past experiences in the military. She recalled the numerous sacrifices made by herself and her fellow soldiers, the lives lost in the line of duty, and the profound, unbreakable bonds formed through shared trials and tribulations. Her thoughts drifted to the prejudice she had faced both while in uniform and after leaving service, a painful reminder of the persistent biases she continued to encounter despite her dedication and sacrifices. The man's remarks had struck a nerve, but the discomfort went beyond the sting of his words. It was a harsh reminder that, despite her years of service and the sacrifices she had made for her country, there were still individuals who viewed her through a prejudiced lens. This persistent pain, a recurring shadow in her life, seemed to resurface with each new encounter of bias, an unhealed wound that continued to trouble her. As the flight progressed across the sky, Leah found herself unable to escape a deep, unsettling feeling that seemed to cling to her like a shadow. From her vantage point, she could sense the man's piercing gaze from a few rows ahead. His eyes would occasionally dart toward her, clearly reflecting his lingering disdain. It was apparent that he remained brooding over their earlier encounter, and this realization unsettled her deeply. Leah knew that she could not allow this distressing situation to taint the remainder of her journey. She had navigated far greater trials and adversities in her life, and was determined not to let the prejudice of a single stranger overshadow her return home. If you are still watching this video and find these stories useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. With a determined resolve, Leah reached into her bag and carefully retrieved a small notepad, her hands steady despite the turbulence of her emotions. As she opened it, she felt a surge of purpose, channeling her thoughts into each meticulously chosen word. The note she crafted was simple yet profound, aimed at addressing the earlier misunderstanding with both sincerity and depth. She poured her heart into the message, striving to bridge the chasm of misunderstanding that had emerged between her and the man. Dear Sir, I wanted to take a moment to address the misunderstanding that occurred earlier today. As a proud member of the armed forces, I have dedicated my life to serving my country and protecting the freedoms that we all hold dear. My experiences have shown me the true cost of these freedoms, and I carry with me the memories of those who did not return home. In light of this, I hope we can all rise above our differences and recognize our shared humanity. We are, in many ways, more alike than we are different, and it is through kindness and empathy that we can truly connect. Sincerely, Sergeant Leah Matthews. With a deep breath, Leah folded the note with utmost care, her fingers lingering over the creases, as if to imbue them with the sincerity of her intent. She approached the flight attendant, her demeanor calm and resolute, a stark contrast to the turbulence of her inner world. The flight attendant, having witnessed the earlier confrontation and sensing the gravity of Leah's gesture, nodded with a sympathetic smile and accepted the note with an understanding nod. Leah watched with a mixture of hope and apprehension as the attendant made her way to the man seated in 5A and handed him the folded paper. The man's reaction was palpable, his face registering a range of emotions as he unfolded the note. Leah, from her seat, observed the initial look of surprise that quickly gave way to a more nuanced expression. She couldn't fully decipher the change in his demeanor from afar, but she hoped that the words she had written might stir some reflection and understanding within him. Her heart ached with the desire for her message to reach him, to resonate with him on a level that transcended their earlier confrontation. As the flight progressed, Leah's attention was drawn repeatedly to the man's engrossed posture. He seemed absorbed in the note, his gaze fixed on the words with a thoughtful intensity. He did not glance in her direction, nor did he offer any immediate acknowledgement, but Leah found solace in the fact that he was engaging with her message. She had not expected a direct response, but the act of taking the high road, of choosing to respond with empathy and understanding, provided her with a quiet sense of peace. In allowing her actions to speak for themselves, Leah felt a deep, unspoken connection with the man, a shared moment of humanity that transcended their earlier discord. As the plane began its descent, Leah prepared herself for the moment she had been eagerly anticipating, reuniting with her family. She stood up to retrieve her bag, eager to leave the incident behind and focus on the joy of seeing her loved ones. Just as she was about to exit, the man approached her. He looked noticeably different. His demeanor was subdued and almost apologetic. Clutching the note in his hand, he seemed momentarily at a loss for words. Leah could see a genuine humility in his eyes, and the tension from earlier had dissipated. For a brief moment, the man appeared as if he was grappling with his thoughts and emotions, searching for the right way to acknowledge the impact of the note. "Sergeant Matthews," he finally said, his voice soft and sincere, "I want to apologize for my earlier behavior. I read your note, and it made me realize how wrong I was. Thank you for your service and for handling the situation with such grace." Leah was momentarily stunned by the unexpected gesture, her heart touched by the man's surprising act of contrition. She looked at him with a mixture of astonishment and appreciation, her eyes softening as a warm smile began to form on her lips. "Thank you," she said, her voice trembling slightly with the depth of her sincerity. "I genuinely hope you have a safe and pleasant journey ahead." The man acknowledged her words with a small, grateful nod before turning to leave. Leah felt a sense of quiet satisfaction wash over her, a soothing balm to the earlier tension. As she made her way through the bustling airport, her mind began to shift from the incident with the note to the joyful anticipation of reuniting with her family. The prospect of seeing her loved ones filled her with a profound sense of happiness, making the earlier discomfort fade into the background. The warmth of the upcoming reunion was a comforting reminder of the love and connection she would soon embrace. Meanwhile, the man's voice, now softened and imbued with a reflective tone, spoke once more. "If you love your family and believe in spreading positivity, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to stay connected," he began, his words now carrying a deeper, more contemplative quality. "I wanted to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude for your note. It truly made me pause and reassess my actions." Leah observed him with a mixture of curiosity and cautious hope. Her heart, still tender from their earlier exchange, remained open as she listened. The man's hesitation was palpable, and she could sense the gravity of the moment. "I've come to realize that my behavior earlier was completely out of line," he continued, his gaze dropping to the floor as though seeking solace in the ground beneath him. "I made assumptions about you that were not only unfair but also steeped in my own biases. I am profoundly sorry for the way I acted." Leah could see the genuine remorse in his eyes, and it struck a chord deep within her. Her heart, already softened by his initial gesture, now swelled with empathy as she absorbed his heartfelt apology. "Thank you," she replied quietly, her voice filled with a mix of relief and appreciation. "It takes an immense amount of courage to admit when we are wrong and to take steps towards making things right." The man took a deep breath, his emotions visibly raw as he extended his hand towards her. "My name is David," he said, his voice carrying a trace of vulnerability. "I want you to know that I'm sincerely grateful for your service. I lost my brother in Afghanistan a few years ago. He was a soldier too. Seeing you today stirred up emotions I wasn't prepared to face." Leah shook his hand, her gesture infused with deep, heartfelt empathy. "I'm so deeply sorry for your loss," she said softly, her voice carrying the weight of her compassion. "Losing someone you love is never easy, and it's even more challenging when it happens in the line of duty. I can only imagine the depth of your grief, but please know that my thoughts and prayers are with you." Her words, rich with understanding, bridged the gap between their initial discord and the shared experience of loss, reflecting a profound connection rooted in shared human emotions. David's response was gentle and subdued, his voice barely more than a whisper, yet it conveyed the depth of his emotion. His eyes, shimmering with unshed tears, met Leah's with a poignant mixture of gratitude and vulnerability. "Thank you," he said, his voice trembling and cracking slightly with the weight of his feelings. "Thank you for reminding me that despite everything, we're all in this together. It's moments like these that make me realize just how crucial it is to reach out and connect with others, to remember that we're not alone in our struggles." If you are still watching this video and find these stories useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. As they walked side by side, exiting the plane, Leah and David shared an unspoken bond that had been forged through their brief but deeply meaningful conversation. From being strangers, they had become two souls who, through an unexpected encounter, discovered a profound moment of connection. The note Leah had written had served as a bridge, spanning the initial gap between them and transforming their earlier conflict into a place of mutual understanding and respect. The gate loomed ahead, but before they parted ways, David turned to Leah with a final, heartfelt gesture. He handed her a small business card, his eyes earnest and filled with a sincere, palpable concern. "If you ever need anything," David said, his voice steady yet heavy with emotion, "please don't hesitate to reach out. And take care of yourself. It's so important to remember that, especially during difficult times." His offer transcended mere words. It was a testament to his willingness to extend a hand of kindness and support, even to someone he had initially clashed with. His gesture was a profound reminder of the potential for human connection and compassion, even in the wake of conflict. Leah accepted the card with a warm, grateful smile, her heart swelling with a renewed sense of connection and hope. She carefully tucked the card into her pocket, feeling as though she had been given a small, yet significant, gift, a token of understanding and a symbol of potential friendship. "Thank you, David," she said softly, her voice filled with genuine appreciation. "I will. And please, you take care of yourself too." Watching him walk away, Leah felt a profound sense of peace settle over her. What had begun as a moment of tension and misunderstanding had transformed into an encounter marked by empathy and mutual respect. It was a powerful reminder that even amidst conflict and adversity, there was always the potential for growth and reconciliation. As Leah left the airport, her heart was brimming with renewed hope and purpose. She was reassured by the presence of individuals like David, people who were open to change and committed to fostering kindness and compassion. This realization brought Leah a deep sense of fulfillment and a renewed determination to approach life with understanding and empathy. In that encounter, Leah found a profound sense of purpose and something truly worth striving for, a beacon of hope that illuminated her path forward. As we wrap up today's video, let's take a moment to reflect on the powerful story we've just shared. From the initial conflict to the heartfelt resolution, we've seen how respect, empathy, and understanding can bridge even the widest gaps between us. What have you learned from this story? How has it impacted your perspective on handling prejudice and fostering connection? We invite you to share one thing you've learned and plan to practice in your own life. Leave your comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. If you like this video, please leave your comment below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support helps us continue to bring you inspiring content. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.